The classic cartoon gave America a glimpse of what the future would look like. And from flat-screen TVs to video phones to drones to jetpacks, much of what seemed unrealistic in the 1960s on the Jetsons, very real today.
No, it's not just us. Even the talking heads on cable news have had their wait a second moment with the Jetsons, pointing out how that old Hanna-Barbera cartoon somehow nailed a surprising amount of everyday tech. Sure, we still don't have the flying cars zipping through orbit city traffic, and Rosie isn't doing our ironing yet. But look around and it starts to feel like we quietly moved into the Jetsons timeline without getting the memo. Back in 1962, the show was sold as a bright, goofy peek at life in 2062, full of push-button convenience and space-age gadgets that were mostly played for laughs. But decades later, a lot of those laughs look an awful like video calls, flat screens, robot vacuums, smart devices, and screens that follow you everywhere. Today we're talking about how the Jetsons predicted 10 inventions that came true. Video calls.
Calling the Jetsons, Jetsons.
Ah, it's a phone. I'll get it.
Morning, George, dear.
Ah, morning, Gloria. Honey, it's your friend Gloria, the cute-looking one.
While George might want to tone down the whole "your friend is the cute-looking one" routine before Jane sends him into orbit, the moment still makes one thing clear. In his world, video calling is completely normal. George uses it for casual check-ins, quick chats around the house, and even those dreaded work interruptions when his boss pops up on a screen to bark orders. To audiences in the early 1960s, that idea felt like pure science fiction, because most homes were still getting used to basic television, let alone a two-way screen that could beam someone's face right into your living room. The Jetsons didn't treat it like a complicated lab breakthrough either. They framed it as the obvious next step after the telephone, basically a call you can see. What makes the prediction feel even sharper is how many versions of this are now woven into daily life. Video calls live on laptops, tablets, and phones, and they became a default for work meetings, family chats, and quick face-to-face hellos when you're miles away. The hardware looks sleeker than the Jetsons' bulky video phones, but the idea is almost identical. A normal conversation that includes your face, not just your voice. Smartwatches and wrist screens.
What you watching? It's the billionth rerun of the Flintstones.
Here goes. Yabba-dabba-doo. Hey, look out, Fred!
Meta crossover references aside, the Jetsons played with the idea that important information would shrink down and travel with you. A wrist screen showing video and messages was the kind of gag that also felt like a promise. The future would be portable, and you would not need a living room device to stay connected or watch your favorite reruns. Modern smartwatches do a lot of what those cartoon wrist gadgets hinted at. They deliver notifications, track activity, run apps, and keep you connected without pulling out a phone every time. Even when the exact Jetsons feature set is not one-to-one, the broader prediction holds true. The wrist becomes a mini command center, and information follows you everywhere. Flat-screen TVs.
Good morning with your modern mother's muscle tone program of the year. Now chin up, index fingers out.
Right at the beginning, the Jetsons shows a television that looks nothing like the chunky sets of the early 1960s. Instead of a big wooden box, the screen is thin and elegant, mounted in a way that makes it feel like part of the home's design. At the time, that was a clever visual joke because it flipped what people expected a TV to look like. Fast forward to the 2000s and thin flat screens became the norm. The important part is not just that screens got flatter, but that they became decor-friendly and space-saving. Exactly the kind of future home detail the Jetsons leaned into. The show's version is stylized, but the idea that screens would become slim, light, and mountable landed with surprising accuracy. Robot vacuums.
What about you, Susan?
I would like Rosie from the Jetsons to come to my home and take care of the dishes, sweeping the floor, wiping the counters. That's my chore. That's what I need done.
So that cartoon was what? 60s and 70s, right?
Ouch.
Rosie the robot is the iconic Jetsons helper, but the show also sprinkled in smaller, automated cleaning devices that scoot around doing chores. That matters because it suggests a future where you do not need a full humanoid robot to get real help. Even a simple machine that handles one repetitive job would change the rhythm of home life. That is essentially what robot vacuums delivered. They're not Rosie, but they are a real household automation that reduces daily effort. The prediction works because the Jetsons treated automated cleaning as normal, not as a luxury reserved for a science lab. Today's devices use sensors, mapping, and programmed routines, which matches the core Jetsons idea. Push a button, let the machine handle the floor. Digital news and tablet reading.
I can't stand the know-it-all encyclopedia.
How about ogres?
Ostriches? No, pay attention. I said orbity.
Can I help it if you mumble?
In the Jetsons' future, information is fast and screen-based. The show may still feature traditional media in places, but it also depicts people reading news digitally, which is a big leap for a 1962 cartoon. It hints at a world where you do not wait for ink on paper. You just pull up what you want when you want it. That's basically modern life. News arrives through apps, websites, and notifications, and plenty of people read on phones and tablets during commutes or quick breaks. The Jetsons version looks like TV as a newspaper, but the essence is right. The news becomes an on-demand stream on a personal screen. Voice-activated alarm clocks and talking assistants.
George Jetson, time to get up, sir.
The Jetsons loved giving machines personality, especially anything that could nag you into starting the day. A voice-controlled alarm clock is funny because it turns a simple device into a chatty household character. But it's also a smart guess about interfaces. Instead of pushing buttons, you just speak. Today, voice interaction is everywhere, from smart speakers to phone assistants, and even many alarms can be set by voice. The broader prediction is that the home becomes conversational. You ask for weather, timers, reminders, and schedules, and a device answers back like it's part of the household. The Jetsons made it comedic, but the basic function is real. Push-button cooking and smart ovens.
Peanut butter? Liverwurst? Sardines? Let's see now.
Elroy, I'm home.
Bologna?
Baloney? What do you mean? Is that any way to greet your dad?
Jane Jetson feeding the family with a button press is classic Jetsons convenience. The joke is that meals appear instantly and cooking becomes more like ordering than preparing. It reflects the show's belief that kitchens would be automated and time-saving would be the selling point. Real life is not quite instant breakfast, but smart kitchen tech has moved in that direction. Wi-Fi-enabled ovens can sense and adjust cooking, and some devices guide you through recipes with automated settings. And 3D printed food is somewhat of a real, if limited, example of push-button production. The Jetsons concept is exaggerated, but trajectory is familiar. Cooking shifts towards automation, presets, and machine assistance. Capsule endoscopy and the camera pill.
Come on now, say ah. Ah! Fire one. Doctor to Explorer 1, what is your position?
Down and down I go, just passing by the Adam's apple.
Let's see it.
Looks okay from here.
One of the show's most impressive "wait, they did that" moments is the tiny device George swallows during a medical exam. The cartoon frames it as a simple checkup tool, a small probe that travels through the body and reports back. For a sitcom, it's a surprisingly specific idea. Modern capsule endoscopy lines up closely with that concept. A patient swallows a pill-sized camera that captures images inside the digestive tract, reducing the need for more invasive procedures in certain cases. The Jetsons version is more robotic and dramatic, but the prediction is still strong because it gets the core method right: diagnostics delivered by a swallowable device. Tanning beds and fast cosmetic tech.
Oh dear, I can't let her see me looking like this. I've got to put on my morning mask. I'll be right there, George. Hi, Glor.
Jane, darling, don't you look lovely? How do you do it?
The Jetsons even squeezed in beauty tech, including a quick tanning setup with playful settings that sound like vacation destinations. The gag is the speed and convenience. Instead of spending hours in the sun, you get a rapid, controlled result in a machine. Tanning beds became commercially available in the U.S. in the late 70s and grew in popularity later, which makes the Jetsons' appearance feel surprisingly early. The key is the show anticipated the desire for controlled cosmetic outcomes at home or in a salon setting. Even beyond tanning, modern skincare devices and light-based treatments echo that same machine-assisted beauty routine idea. Drones and small personal flyers.
Well, the Jetsons cartoon is a step closer to reality. Check out this concept vehicle called a Fly Citycopter. It's designed to help you whiz around traffic, all while reducing pollution.
The Jetsons begins with George dropping family members off in little flying pods, which is not the same as a quadcopter drone, but it's close in spirit. Compact aerial vehicles doing everyday tasks. The show treated the sky like a normal transportation lane, full of small craft moving people and objects around quickly. While we don't have that exact system, drones are now common in photography, surveying, inspections, and hobby flying, and companies have experimented with delivery concepts as well. The Jetsons prediction lands when you think of it as everyday airspace filled with small machines. We're not living in Orbit City, but the sky is definitely busier than 1962 audiences could have imagined. Now it's time to hear from you. Which Jetsons invention feels the most accurate to your life right now? Which one do you still wish would show up tomorrow? Let us know in the comments section below.